Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Perry from Books Aren't Boring. Today we're going to do a little video that's different from what I normally do, and it's the top 5 things you can do to make your required reading just a little easier. I got my notes right here, so we're going to just dive in. So the first tip I have is to use like the sites like SparkNotes and stuff. Not sponsored, but don't use them as a replacement, use them as a supplement. So if you don't understand something that happens in the book, you can look it up online, of course, but don't read the entire SparkNotes page and just think that you understand everything about the book, because when it comes time to write your essays, you're going to need quotes probably, and you're not going to know where those quotes are if you haven't read the book. Make sure to actually do your reading, but if you need help understanding it, you can go online. Like, it's not illegal or anything. This especially works with like Shakespearean stuff because they have the whole no fear Shakespeare thing. A lot of people don't understand Shakespeare properly, and it's just easier to, go online as opposed to having to write an essay and not understand what you're writing about. Number 2 is to create a thorough schedule of when you're going to read, like not thorough as in like how many pages you're going to read per day, but more just like you lay out a calendar and you think, okay, how many chapters are in this book? And then you divide it up based on the amount of time that you have that day, and then you can read that much. This helps during summer reading when you don't have like schedules laid out by your teacher. Generally, it's kind of hard because you like don't want to read it because it's for school, and usually the books are boring, But what I tend to do is usually 2 chapters a day. If you get started early enough, that does work, but if you're on more of a time crunch because you procrastinated, then you have to set out a schedule or you're not going to get the reading done. Just get a calendar or just even a mental calendar, get out your audiobook, real book, whatever, and just read that amount of chapters per day. And as I stated, if you don't understand something, look it up online. Like, you don't have to know everything that's going on, you just have to know that you read it, because even reading it and kind of understanding it is better than not reading it and going into anything blind. Especially if you have like quizzes or essays due right when you get back to school and you have to write something within a certain period of time, you're not going to be able to process all that information within the 1 week you have to study or write the essay. Tip number 3 is to know the background. This is useful when it comes to like period pieces, Shakespeare, that kind of thing. Usually if it's just created in a time that's like a long time ago, you want to at least look up what was going on. Sometimes your teachers will have like assignments based around that, but other times they won't. So it's good to know like what politically was happening at that time. If it's like a politically charged book, like what's happening in the movements at the time, what was the social dynamics, because you don't want to start to say something was like out of the social norm for the time when it really wasn't. This is important once you get past like the mid-1900s because it starts to become more muddled, and unless you're a history expert, you probably don't know exactly the dynamics of what's expected in the books that you're reading. Like someone reading Pride and Prejudice, which is actually the book I'm reading right now for school, someone reading Pride and Prejudice today might think that those are really outdated social norms and that it's like not correct, but in actuality, like that was usually the way that it was in the time, like the whole women getting married. And the piece is a satire, but that doesn't change the fact that that's kind of how it was. And yes, things have changed from then to now, but you need to know what it was like then in order to create an essay now. You get what I'm saying? So make sure that you do your research so that you don't say anything incredibly inaccurate when you're writing something about the book for school, because then you can possibly get marked on them, or your teacher to just get really confused, or they think you didn't read when in actuality you did, and it's just a lot of things that you don't want to happen. Number 4 is to make a list of quotes. It doesn't have to be a big list, it just has to be a list of things that you think are extremely important within the span of the book. Like, there a lot of the times, like you'll look up certain books that you have to read for school, and there's like lists of really important or like influential quotes that people thought changed their lives. And that's kind of what you want to do here. It's a little bit different because you want ones that would fit in essays, especially if you're expected to use quotes in your essays. And yes, a lot of the quotes you might pick out will probably be picked out by other people in the class, but if they are important to the story, it doesn't matter how like popular or non-popular the quotes you pick are. It matters how they're relevant to the story or what you're trying to write about. So if you want to get a head start on your assignments, make sure to make notes or write down quotes, or just like mark your book in general, because otherwise you're not going to know where to go back to unless you have like photographic memory. Tip number 5 is a little bit more generic, but it's literally just ask questions. If you don't understand something, ask online or ask your teachers or ask your parents or your friends or someone you know can help you, because like it's not going to be like everyone in the world doesn't know the answer to your question. It's probably fine. You just have to know when to ask questions. For example, once in 7th or 8th grade, I can't remember when, we read All Quiet on the Western Front, which is a Russian novel, which is really hard to understand. And at the end, spoiler alert, all of the characters die except for 2 of them, I believe, or like 1, or all of them die. I can't remember that well. But that just goes to show, like, I didn't ask whether anyone had died, and it wasn't done in a way that was really obvious. It wasn't like, and then everyone died. So I still remember not knowing that and finding out in class and being like, wait, they died, and then everyone just looked at me weird because they all knew and I didn't know. So make sure to just like clarify questions by looking online again, kind of like SparkNotes, or just ask like very specific questions to real life people, because sometimes asking specific questions to the internet doesn't work. So yeah. Also, this isn't really a tip, but kind of like a reminder. If your teacher is the kind to do like multiple choice tests on really weird specific facts in the book and not like essay finals, make sure you're paying attention really hard to what you're reading, because I know that kind of test can be frustrating, but since you can't do anything about it, might as well like do your best, right? So write down important plot details or even minute plot details, because sometimes in the test that I had in like 8th grade, our teacher would ask like on the test stuff that was really not that important to the story, but for some reason she would add it on there, and like none of us knew the answer and we were really confused as to why she asked it. It's not great. It's not the best situation. An essay is always probably better than multiple choice, depending on what kind of multiple choice or essay it is. And reading projects in middle school as opposed to high school are always going to be different in some way, at least in my experience, because the teachers in middle school don't trust you as much to write coherent essays about what you just wrote. So you'll probably be subjected to more multiple choicey type tests until you get to high school, and then it's like, okay, you can write this essay. Hopefully you understand the prompt. So just make sure you're clear about what your teacher's expectations are, and I'm sure you'll do okay. I know this was kind of more of a short video and like out of my realm of what I've been doing for the past 3 videos, but I just wanted to do this and let everybody know, because I am writing a blog post about it on my blog, which will be linked down below right now. So I kind of want to just like publicize it. So thank you for watching. Check out my blog and also check out my Instagram, because I have an Instagram. And yeah. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.